Secretary of State Antony Blinken holds talks with Mexico's president south of the border over the illegal immigration crisis. But how is Blinken supposed to fix anything when he agrees with the invasion itself? He just wants it to slow down so that it's not so obvious and not so overwhelming all at once. Already, New York City's mayor took it upon himself to sign an executive order restricting busloads of new arrivals of migrants into the Big Apple. He'll probably get hit with another investigation, though, over this. Remember when he wanted more cops and less illegals, and then all of a sudden Adams was being accused by a woman of sexual assault from 30 years ago. And so he changed his tune and signed some documents to slash the number of cops to give more to illegals. Because I remember all of it. But it's not just Adams. The Chicago mayor is also fed up.
Reached a critical point in this mission that absent real significant intervention immediately, our local economies are not designed and built to respond to this type of crisis.
However, this is a point I keep harping on. Notice how no Democrat mayor crying about being overwhelmed wants the border closed to this invasion. No, they just want to use the crisis to get more federal money while keeping their newly imported voting base. They know that's how democracy works. Get enough people on your side to force your will onto the whole populace. You may try and stop me here and say, Pacara, we're a constitutional republic and not a democracy. And I would remind you that we were a constitutional republic. The left is tearing down all those vanguards that constrain total democracy in order to protect rights and to create checks and balances. The left tells us that such things are racist and it restricts the will of the people, at least as the left understands the will of the people to be. And so, total democracy it is. Mob rule, in other words. A scramble to import as many of your future supporters as possible to drown out the other guys. They may tell us that it's not about that at all, that it's only about helping people and boosting the economy even. But empowering human traffickers and losing track of 85,000 migrant children doesn't sound like we're helping anyone. And also the UK, which has been busy dealing with their own migration crisis, is fearing the possibility of a recession now that newly released revised figures show their economy, measured in terms of GDP, actually shrank by 0.1% between July and September of this year. We've been promised up and down that importing mass amounts of cheap foreign labor would juice the economy and it would bring down prices for everyone. But all we have is more takers being added to the welfare rolls, while producers, as in the labor workforce participation rate, has been shrinking. Inflation is still giving us sticker shock. Resources for housing infrastructure and social services are stretched thin. We're still dealing with labor shortages, figure that one out, increased crime, and wages that are stagnating. The VA is even hiring H-1B workers over American veterans, according to some reports. And what do we have to show for it all? Nothing. Sounds like a real dystopia because it is. Build back better and all that. But just because the left is hoping to solidify its electoral advantage with changing demographics, as Latinos now outnumber non-Hispanic whites in the state of Texas in another case of replacement is not happening, but it's a good thing it is, well, now some of the left's racial coalition members are starting to butt heads. This is especially true in Illinois between black communities and illegal immigrants. Now it's reached the point that even the NAACP head of Illinois was suspended from her position after making these comments on a Zoom call. Take a listen.
But these immigrants have come over here. They've been raping people. They've been breaking into homes. They're like savages as well. They don't speak the language and they look at us like we were crazy.
She has since tried to insinuate that perhaps the comments were AI generated, though I don't know of any evidence proving that claim. Joining us now to discuss all this and more is Ian Howarth, the host of Off Limits with Ian Howarth. Ian, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So are various coalition members of the left starting to come into conflict with each other, as we just saw in that last video?
Yeah, I mean, but as you pointed out, none of this is actually about the problem. It's about the consequences of the problem that are suddenly impacting them. None of these cities, Chicago, New York, LA, San Francisco, none of them care about illegal immigration when the problems are hitting tiny conservative border towns in Texas and Arizona and California. It's only when the problem suddenly lands on their doorstep, it's only when the problem suddenly lands in Martha's Vineyard that they wake up and realize it's a problem. But they don't want to solve the problem. They want the problem to go away. So either they'll take more money and not solve the problem, or they'll just shift these people back to where they'd rather they be, which is in places like Texas, Arizona, and just make the problem go away. They don't care about illegal immigration.